Welcome in. You are listening to the St0ner Sports Podcast here, episode number 19 coming at you. We will go over the St0ner Sportsbook and over both of the playoff games that happened over last weekend, and we'll give you our predictions for what we think will happen and who is going to the Super Bowl. We will check the transfer portal big board again and see if any big movers have made their decision where they're going to play in the fall. We'll check the NBA standings, talk about all-star selections and who got snubbed, who did not. We'll take our locks of the week into the weekend, and we have that planned for you this episode. Joining me, as usual, is Mr. Murphy. Mr. Murphy, how are we doing this evening?
We're doing great, man. Little car episode for me.
Yeah, in the vehicle.
I'm really comfortable, though. I just turned the AC off, and I'm actually feeling great. So.
All right, good. So, big games over the weekend. Let's just jump right into it. NFL/St0ner Sports Book special here. So we went into the weekend. We had Jacksonville playing Kansas City, the Giants playing the Eagles, the Bengals playing the Bills, and the Dallas Cowboys playing the 49ers. Those were the four games we had last weekend. So let's get into this Jacksonville-Kansas City game, right? So I'm going to start us off here. So both of us got this one wrong. We did. Kansas City did not cover the 9. Jacksonville was down by 10 late in this game.
Yeah.
They decided with 52 seconds left, we're going to kick the field goal to cut it to 7, try the onside kick, and see if we can get it with no timeouts and see if we can force this thing into overtime. And that was kind of where we ended, and it was a 7-point win for Kansas City at home. What were your takeaways from this game? Because, I mean, this was kind of a little bit closer than we thought it was going to be.
Yeah, honestly, just surprised that KC didn't at least run up another couple touchdowns on Jacksonville. And then, of course, that late field goal, them trying to get the onside. I mean, we had it right, man. We had it right. Like, it's tough with that spread like that. But, I mean, Kansas City got the job done. We got the pick right.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
But I mean, I figured that was gonna at least be a couple more touchdown win from Kansas City. But I mean, Jacksonville, I guess, is a better team than I thought. I mean, I've always been a big fan of Trevor Lawrence, but I mean, I just think Jacksonville is kind of shitty overall. But I mean, that was a good game for sure.
Yeah, I think you look at that game and you kind of say the future of NFL quarterbacks is in good hands. With Trevor Lawrence looked good. And if I had that matchup every single year in the playoffs in that round, I don't think I would complain. I think I would watch those games, and I think this is one of the games that proved why, because it was close in the end. Jacksonville did have a chance. You can't say they didn't have a chance around that onside with 50 seconds left. You had a chance. And that ball was loose for quite some time on that onside kick. Luckily, Kansas City jumped on it. And the rest is kind of history. But let's talk a little bit more about this game in the context of Patrick Mahomes, right? Ankle injury, high ankle sprain. He is going to go this weekend. We expected him to go this weekend. And he might just not be as quick when he tries to take off, which could affect his rushing numbers, which have been pretty good against Cincinnati. We'll get into that kind of a little bit later. But overall, do you think that injury is going to hinder him enough this weekend for, it to be a concern for fans, or how do you feel about that?
I think it might, most definitely. I think it just depends, because I don't know kind of what their game plans are, but I know as far as Cincinnati goes, I think that they're going to be trying to target Mahomes in that way, knowing that his ankle's already tweaked. I mean, as the defensive coordinator, especially with how defensive guys are in general, they're nasty, they're dirty, and they're gonna go for that ankle. Like, it's gonna happen. So if they can find a way to get Mahomes out of the game, Cincinnati's got a ticket to the Super Bowl. So I think it's good. I don't think Patrick Mahomes is gonna be doing as much scrambling with that being a factor, but I also think Cincinnati's coming for that ankle. So I think it's gonna play a factor in the fact that he's got to protect it, and Cincinnati's coming for it. So he's not gonna be. He's got to stay in the pocket. But I mean, he can obviously do that.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I
uh,
mean, and also you can have your own offensive lineman get rolled up on you too. I mean, we've seen that happen as well. So we could have friendly fire, or we could have, like you said, they're obviously gonna, like you said, they're gonna target it. They're gonna say go
oh yeah,
low. You hit him
yeah,
low. You get a helmet on that ankle. I mean, it's gonna sting a little bit.
yeah,
And he's gonna be juiced up. They're gonna have those cortisone shots flowing. He's not gonna be feeling that ankle, which could be to his detriment. Or he might say, I don't want that because I don't want my foot to be numb. I don't want to feel like I'm standing with a sandbag on one leg and fine on the other. I might as well just endure the pain. That way I can actually, sit and throw. But that is his plant foot. That is his plant foot. When he goes back to throw, that's the foot that's going back. So that also is kind of something to look at. I don't think it's going to
big
matter
factor.
really. Um,
Yeah.
and I think that I would take a one-legged Patrick Mahomes over Joe Burrow if I had to pick one.
Ooh.
For okay, final drive to save your life. I'm picking Patrick Mahomes. I mean, if if
Yeah,
if I
you're
was
right.
on death row and they were like, you got one quarterback to pick, Patrick Mahomes is one,
Patrick Mahomes,
on a
hands
bad
down.
ankle, or Joey Burrow
Yeah,
fully healthy, I'm probably picking Patrick Mahomes. Um,
I'll go Mahomes. I think that obviously with how much money he has and how much it's not even really he's not gonna spend money. The Kansas City Chiefs had. I think they're gonna do like mobility stuff for the ankle. I think he's gonna be icing it. He's not gonna be doing a lot of practice this week. So, I mean, I know he hasn't been doing a lot of practice this week, and I think they might fuck around and give him a fucking shot in that ankle so he doesn't feel it. So
yeah, that's what I was saying. I was
it,
like, they
it's
they might do that.
probably not gonna be a big deal, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is I don't know if it's actually a better thing to have Chad Henne in there because he looked pretty good
Yeah.
against
Oh,
Jacksonville,
really?
rolling out, throwing on the run, finding Travis Kelsey for a touchdown. He led a touchdown drive, and obviously that
Yeah.
ended up being huge because without it, that game is tied with under a minute to go.
Right.
So I think that Chad Henne is a viable option for this team as well. Um, Especially in this circumstance, I don't think knocking Patrick Mahomes out would not benefit Cincinnati, but I think that they would be kind of remiss to think that Chad Henne's just gonna we're gonna walk all over Chad Henne. I don't know if
Yeah.
that's something that they we really want him to come in. I don't know if you want that because I don't think he's terrible. So
Yeah.
anyways, that's kind of our takeaway from that one. So let's see, you lost $75 on that. I lost 50 on that one, so that was not looking good spread wise. But like I said, got the pick right. That's kind of kind of the gist of things. At least we were half right. Let's move on to this next game. So next game, not so competitive. Philadelphia and the Giants. You picked the Giants to cover this game. I didn't think it was a bad idea. The spread was 7.5. Or obviously the Eagles win by 31. So I mean that's kind of out the window as far as you getting that right spread wise. We both thought Philadelphia was going to win this. I did pick the other side of this because I just thought, maybe Danny Dimes makes a mistake. Maybe something happens. I didn't need Danny Dimes to make a mistake because the Giants just stunk.
Yeah. That's what
Um,
I figured. I mean, I figured that they were really hype off that first win, and they were coming in to play just a whole nother team that is way better than the fucking first win they got. So I mean, it's just like I don't think they were all the way locked in ready for those fucking Eagles. Like, and I figured that was gonna happen because the Giants are just not that team. Like they're still rebuilding. Like they have potential, but I knew they weren't gonna be locked away and ready for fucking Philadelphia.
yeah, I kind of I thought because it was a rivalry game, I thought maybe it would be a little closer. That's why
Yeah,
I didn't think you were dumb for picking the Giants to cover because I thought as well as they played against the Vikings, if they play like that against the Eagles, they've got a
yeah,
shot. It's just
yeah.
it was just too it was just too much offense. I mean, the Giants' defense isn't good. They've got my boy Kayvon Thibodeau and a defensive line that can put pressure on you. But when you have a mobile quarterback like Jalen Hurts, it's not going to matter how much pressure you get. He's going to flush the pocket and pick up 15 quick ones. So that was kind of my thought on that. Um, because that game just wasn't close at all. But let's get into one that was um, also not as competitive as we thought. Cincinnati got up to a 14-0 lead early against Buffalo, and they kind of just held it. They win by 17, 27-10. Joe Burrow plays fantastic. Josh Allen not so much. Um, I picked the Bills and you picked Cincinnati, so congrats on that. I
Appreciate it.
said, this was a year to believe in the Bills. I'll take the heat for that, because I didn't want to say I trusted them, but I felt like this was going to be the year that they at least made it to the Super Bowl, because of just how talented they'd been all season long. But like I said, if you can't trust the Bills during playoff time, can't trust Purdue basketball in March. I just believe that to be a thing you can live by. Death taxes and those teams not, fulfilling their destinies. What was your takeaway from this game?
I honestly I really, when we were making those picks, I thought you were right. Like, I was like, the Bills, honestly, if Josh Allen, I thought it was the Bills' year. I definitely thought they were going to be playing Kansas City. I just didn't know how the Bengals were going to come in there, but I mean, it was a great game. I just think that snow affected Josh Allen, even though that's what they fucking play in all the time. So I'm just trying to figure out why he kept overthrowing Diggs and all those other receivers, because I know you saw that he was overthrowing everybody the whole game. Like, and that definitely had to do with weather. I feel like his touch was just a little off, because when it's snowing and shit like that and you're playing in that, you don't have as much feel. And I think that's what threw Josh Allen off, is I don't think he had his touch that he usually has on the ball, and that's why he kept overthrowing guys. And then you had Joe Burrow on the other hand, fucking dotting everybody up and making those passes that Josh Allen couldn't. And then of course I think they had a few turnovers as well. So uh you just can't win football games like that. And of course not moving the football and scoring. But I think Cincinnati played great, and I think this is going to be a really good game Sunday. So I'm excited to see what the Bengals can do.
Yeah, we'll get into that here in a second. Last game to go over here. My favorite to go over. Um, 49ers beat the Cowboys. We both picked the 49ers. Got this pick right. Final score 19-12. Big takeaway from this is Dak Prescott throws two picks. One at the end of the first half that really would have kind of given them at least 3 points, because even though Brett Maher got
Yeah.
his first PAT blocked, he made all the rest of his field goals, and that's all they got. They didn't score a single touchdown. Okay, they
Yeah.
scored. Well, I take that back. They scored one touchdown and missed the extra point, then kicked two more field goals, but never scored after that initial touchdown in the first quarter. And Brock Purdy has more passing yards than Dak Prescott. Just things you can't have happen. Now Dallas didn't have Tony Pollard, which is kind of their lightning rod. But
I
Dallas
heard.
had chances to win this game, Cole. I mean, you had Turpin on that
Mhm.
kick return, running into the kicker, Robbie Gold for the 49ers, and falling down when that was the only guy he had to beat, and that would have tied the game at 19. You had uh, another turnover that could have happened with uh, Brock Purdy, where Trayvon Diggs has a ball go right to his chest, and the free safety just can't handle it, and he wasn't expecting it, and it just slipped right down his midsection as he was trying to bring it in, and that would have been a pick inside the 5 yard line, but instead you give up a field goal there, and then Christian McCaffrey puts the game away kind of early on in the fourth, and it was just kind of a defensive battle, because Dallas's offense, as well as CeeDee Lamb, played 10 catches for 117 yards. You just didn't have anybody else next to him that did anything. Where was Dalton Schultz at? Where were these other guys? Where was Michael Gallup at? No catches
Right.
for Michael Gallup. None for Michael Gallup. How about T.Y. Hilton? One catch for T.Y. Hilton. They signed him 2 weeks ago. They thought that was going to be the solution. I'm telling you right now, this Dallas team misses Amari Cooper. They miss Amari Cooper.
Big
He
time.
took a lot
Big
of heat away from CeeDee Lamb, and that was kind of the thing was, well, we can't double CD because then we'll let Amari Cooper over. We can't double Amari because then CD's
Yeah.
wide open. They didn't have
Did
that.
he get traded to the Browns?
Amari Cooper, yes, he plays for the Browns now. So him and Deshaun.
Dallas let that guy go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he
Who
had
did
a
they
good
trade
season.
for? Sorry, it's kind of off on a tangent. Who did they fucking trade Amari
Didn't
Cooper
trade
for?
him. Free agent signing. Free agent signing.
What?
They didn't want to re-sign him. They didn't have the money to re-sign him, and so he went and signed with Cleveland because they offered him more money than Dallas offered him. So that was kind of,
Gotcha.
and with Deshaun Watson coming back, maybe he thought this was going to be kind of a year where Cleveland could make the playoffs, but that didn't happen,
Right.
and it was just kind of. But he had a good season, I think. Personally, I don't think Amari
Yeah.
Cooper had a bad year. But Dallas definitely missed him. And my takeaway is just, another blown opportunity. We kind of saw this coming, but we
Another
didn't
year of
think.
Dallas choking.
Yeah, I mean, it just happens. So give me your takeaways.
I think most importantly, though, like you were saying earlier, you can't, as much money as they're paying Dak Prescott, you can't have those turnovers, especially picks, in the most valuable situations where they could go up that three, because they only lost by 7 here, and those points add up, and even turnovers can turn into points too. So it's just like, most importantly, those turnovers from Dak, you have to be perfect. They're giving you millions and millions of dollars. You can't fuck up and be throwing picks like that. It cannot happen. So that's the biggest thing there for Dallas, those turnovers, because like you were saying, those could have easily turned into points. That easily could have been 14 points and not 2 picks. Like, that's just how it could have gone. But having Tony Pollard go out as well for Dallas, that's big. He's definitely like their lightning rod and the guy that they really need out on the field putting numbers, because he's lethal back there. He can burst those for those big runs. That's how they dubbed the Vikings a few weeks ago, or maybe a month or so ago, by like 40. Like, he was hot. He had like 4 touchdowns. So you got to have that guy and Zeke running, and
Yeah,
Dallas can really be good. So having him go out, that hurt big time, because that guy really can open up their play action. He can really open it up with him run pass, or run pass. Like, he can open up the play action game for Dallas, and him going out hurt. But yeah, like you were saying, Brock Purdy, he's getting it done, dude. He's getting it done, and I have confidence in him this week. I just don't know if he has enough for the Eagles. But if like I was telling Jack earlier before I left, if he plays turnover free football, I think the 49ers are gonna win this one. So, uh, good job, for San Francisco getting the job done against Dallas, and Brock Purdy playing good. But yeah, Christian McCaffrey was a great fucking add-on for San Francisco. Always been a playmaker, and he's always making plays in those big situations. So really good pickup for San Francisco. I think Christian McCaffrey obviously was the key to that win there. But yeah, another year of Dallas choking. Another Dallas choke year. Sorry, Dallas fans. They got you hype on the first game. Beat Tampa Bay. Sorry they let you get down again this year. That's why I'm not a Dallas fan anymore.
yeah,
But
hard to
that's
be
my
one.
takeaway.
Um, let's talk about the last play of this game, right?
Dak
Um,
is not the guy. Dak is not your guy. Get rid of Dak. I'm sorry. You can't throw 2 picks in the fucking biggest game of the year, bro. Like, it gets me fucking riled up. Get rid of Dak. Get rid of Dak. Buy his contract. Let him go. Like, he's not the guy. He's
wait,
not Dallas's quarterback.
now somebody said this last week. They said um if the backup quarterback for Dallas would have played
Cooper
Cooper
Rush.
Rush, they would have
Yeah.
won that game. Do you believe that?
You think so?
Well, think about
Or no,
this.
that's what the guy said.
I mean,
No, because Cooper Rush would have turned the ball over too. Like, they just need a guy that's
well,
not
well,
gonna fucking turn the ball over in big
let's
situations.
okay. Well, let's step back here. So, Cooper Rush is playing this game. Let's kind of entertain this hypothetical from this guy. His defense was this. He goes, Cooper Rush beat the Cincinnati Bengals on Monday Night Football. Cooper
Yeah,
Rush beat the Eagles. Cooper Rush, you
yeah,
know, they didn't ask him to do something he couldn't do. They said if you need to make a third down throw, let it fly. But they did
yeah,
lean on Tony Pollard for a lot of their offense in those games.
yeah.
Now, obviously, in this hypothetical, you're assuming Tony Pollard doesn't break his leg like he did last weekend. Um,
Right.
so and it was just it was a break that was near the ankle. It was just one of the bones in the leg that cracked towards the ankle, so it wasn't like a middle of the leg break like ugly. But
Yeah.
he did break his fibula, so that was kind
Damn.
of and so that was why he obviously didn't come back in the game. And we didn't figure that out until like halftime after the X-rays came back. But um, yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where hypothetically he would be in the game, so you would be able to lean on him. I think if Cooper Rush does play, I believe that you're looking at a similar score here. But I don't believe that he makes those mistakes because they wouldn't allow him to throw enough to make those mistakes.
Yeah.
Um,
I like their chances better, like you're saying, if Tony Pollard doesn't get hurt and Cooper Rush. The only thing is, I see Cooper Rush having a turnover because it's a big game for
Yeah,
him,
but
and
let's
it's a
assume he
lot of
turn
pressure.
let's say he turns it over. Well, let's say he turns it over and it's the one that ends up being a field goal for San
Yeah,
Francisco. That doesn't hurt you as much. Now the second one
right.
That Dak threw that ended up leading to the Christian McCaffrey touchdown. That one was the game
Yeah,
winner, and
right.
that's the one. I don't think Cooper Rush makes that mistake.
True.
I think I can give you that. I think he would,
I think he does
maybe a
make a
sack
lot of
fumble or something like that that leads to a field goal. But Dallas's defense kept them in this game. That defense is for real. We were not
their
wrong
defense is solid.
about Micah Parsons. We're not wrong about him having that dog in him. We're not wrong about this
He's
defense
very good.
being good enough to compete with the upper echelon of the NFL teams. It's the offense.
Right.
And Dak, like you said, we've had a 7-game sample size with Dak Prescott in the playoffs. How did it end last year? On a spike against the 49ers when you just should have snapped the ball and ran a play. I mean,
Yeah.
it's stuff like that where it's like you can't lose like that. You can't be someone that's been in the league for 8 seasons and you
Yes.
have, 2 playoff wins in the first round and that's it. Not even getting to the
Yeah.
conference championship game.
Most importantly, it's the money, dude. Like,
So
like
much.
everybody works fucking jobs and shit, and that's your fucking only job to be perfect. So you have to be perfect, bro. You're getting millions of dollars, bro. You can't fuck up and throw 2 picks in the biggest game of the year. That's why I just keep saying he's not the guy because he's proven year after year he can't be mistake free. He's always
Exactly.
gonna have error, and he's never gonna really get it done. He can win football games, yes. He's a good quarterback, yes. He could be on somebody else's team, but he's not Dallas's quarterback. That's just what it is.
Yeah, and the other thing is is like you said, with the amount of money he's getting paid top 5 quarterback money. And
Yeah,
some games you look at Dak and you go, he throws for 400 yards. You go, that is a top 5 quarterback in the league. But the thing
yeah,
is as you said, the last 7 games of the season he's had one or more picks, and it continued. And it hasn't been mistake free for him, and that's been his biggest hangup. Now, personally, I didn't
yeah,
like him at Mississippi State. I thought he wasn't that good.
yeah.
I didn't like him coming
I
out.
thought he was mid. I
I
thought he was
did. I thought he
mid
was
at
mid. I
Mississippi
did.
State.
Me too. I was like, this guy's mid. Dallas made another mistake, and at the
Mhm.
time, they were just winding down the Tony Romo days, and
Right.
and that was kind of one of those things where it's like, fine, let the young guy have a couple games after Romo
Right.
retires, and then draft somebody else. But they didn't because they liked what they saw, and as the year went by, the first like 2 or 3 years he played, you could see him progressing. It was like, okay, this guy's getting better. But Dallas fans, they want success, so they want it now. And I think
Yeah.
that with Jerry Jones going on the radio the week before this game and saying, well, turnovers just aren't in Dak's DNA. I think it's one of those things where it's like, because he didn't turn it over against Tampa Bay. That was the thing. He
Yeah.
he had one
Yeah.
game where he didn't turn it over in 7 games, and Jerry Jones is going, oh, he's not a turnover guy. He doesn't do that. Like he knows not to do that. I'm like, yeah, but here's the thing. Jerry Jones, you went into the locker room before the game. You looked at Brett Maher and said, you can't fuck up today, when you should have gone over to Dak and said, you can't fuck up today. But the thing
Yes.
and Brett Maher had not missed any of his like field goals. It was just PATs. Like,
Hmm.
and that, not just that game, but I'm saying overall in the season, he was perfect. Ned didn't miss a field goal.
Right.
So, I mean, he was doing that half his job. It's just these last 2 3 weeks. I mean, like, what the fuck has been going on with your PATs, dog? I mean, just,
Yeah.
it's concerning. I think they'll probably draft a kicker. You can get those in the 6th, 7th round easy, and they're
What
pretty valuable guys in the end.
about
Um,
Oklahoma's guy?
yeah, I mean
Is he
Schmitty.
coming out?
I think he's got another year. I
Okay.
um, if not, he is a senior this year, and he will be probably drafted because he's good enough to be drafted.
For sure.
At least be on a practice squad and try to get onto the team at least. Um, but I mean, I mean, just overall, we both went 2-2. That was kind of the both of us got two right, got two wrong. We both got the 49ers right, and I picked Philadelphia, you picked the Giants, and that was kind of I picked the Bills, you picked. I mean, so we kind of did all right. Um, but that's kind of how the sports book went. So I lost $100, and you lost 75, and you had 30 all the way down, so 105. So, so that's leaves you this week with 160, and that leaves me with again 2 flat. So we'll get into that here in a minute. Let's go ahead and talk about a little bit more stuff going on here. Here 7. All right. So transfer portal stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Let's kind of jib jab about it just a little bit. Not really a lot of movement this week. Not a lot of big stories coming down. Trying to think of guys that haven't really committed here. I mean, we've kind of talked about most of these guys. Who hasn't picked yet? Like just kind of out of the top 50,
Did we
most of
talk
them.
about?
Hmm?
Did we already talk about the Spencer Sanders, the
Yes,
Ole Miss?
we did talk
Okay, we
about
did, we
that.
did, we did.
Um,
Lane Kiffin.
yeah, that was the big kicker there.
I'm excited for that duo, honestly.
Yeah, I don't. In the top 100, only
Does
one
this make
player
you an Ole Miss fan?
out of the top 100. Only Jaheim Singletary, a corner out of Georgia, has not picked. He's a 4-star guy. Has not picked where he wants to go. He's number 21. He hasn't picked anywhere, but everybody else has. So, unfortunately, not a lot of portal news going around. So we'll go ahead and get back into things here. Let's talk about these games this weekend. So, obviously, the big one is this weekend. This is to go to the Super Bowl. You have 49ers and Eagles. Um, give me your analysis here of what we think is going to happen in
I'm ready for this.
Philadelphia.
This is it. This is the game. Uh, let's see here. And this one, where's this one at again? Sorry.
It's in Philly.
I'll start it off. I got the Eagles. I see the Eagles winning, and I'll tell you why. They're in Philly. I think Jalen Hurts has been playing good even with that prior injury. Um, I think Philadelphia's clicking. Um, and I see the 49ers with I see Brock Purdy. I think the lights are just going to be a little bit too bright for him. I see him with a few turnovers, and I see not like a huge win, but like a 24-10 win here. Philly going to the Super Bowl. Just specifically because I think the 49ers are going to turn the ball over, and I think Jalen Hurts is going to play a hell of a game. I think he lives for this, and he wants these moments, and I think he's ready for this moment. I think Jalen Hurts wants to be uh, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and I think he's going to prove it this year. I think he's going to play lights out and throw for 300 and have maybe one turnover, but that might be like a fumble or just something stupid. But yeah, I think he's going to play a great game. I think I got the Eagles here. So how about you?
Yeah, I think this is prime for Jalen Hurts to really kind of show people
Yeah.
why he was drafted where he was. Um,
Yes.
a lot of people thought after that first year, this doesn't look like an NFL quarterback. Like, he's kind of
Mm-hmm.
iffy. He looks like he did at Alabama, where it was like it's just it's not really there. What did And then now he's turning into that Oklahoma quarterback that got that got the Heisman Trophy. He's looking like that guy. And
Yeah.
and the thing is that scary, right? I mean, because if you're doing that kind of stuff at the NFL level, I mean, you have grown into that position,
Yeah.
and it's funny to me because it's like um, imagine if Jalen Hurts played for Dallas. How different that team would be. I mean, imagine if he played for the Giants, how different that team would be with him and Saquon Barkley back there. I mean, Philadelphia technically stole this man and has built
Ew.
around him successfully with one of the best offensive lines in the league. He's got
He goes second round too.
that I don't know. I
I think Hurts went second round.
um yeah, second round pick. Pick number 50
Yeah.
53. I mean, you had your chance.
Wow.
I mean, and the guy is almost mistake free, right? I mean, he's thrown for 3,700 yards, 22
Yeah.
touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions, a QBR of 66.3, which isn't fantastic.
Very nice.
Um, but when you're looking at the other guys that are on that roster, Ian Book and Gardner Minshew don't really move the needle for me. So I mean that he's definitely your guy. And I mean if you compare him to you know, someone like Patrick Mahomes, um, the numbers aren't, you know, they're not similar because Patrick Mahomes has thrown for 5,000 yards this season. So I mean, the dude's cooking. And he's thrown for double the touchdowns at 41 touchdowns instead of 22. But he's thrown 12 picks. But when you throw that much the way Kansas City does, the thing about the Eagles is they actually run the football pretty well.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the thing is because Kansas City, I mean, they've got Pacheco back there, but they're not really handing it off an ass ton. They know that their offense is throwing the football. It's Travis
Yeah.
Kelsey. It's if it's not Travis Kelsey, it's one of the other multitude of receivers that Mahomes has at his disposal.
Hmm.
I'm not worried about him per se, but the thing is this is Jalen Hurts is playing great football and he
Yeah.
has played good football all year this year, and I think that
Yeah.
he has finally just figured out NFL football. And
Yeah.
I think that's scary for a lot of teams. And with AJ Brown and all those guys that he has at his disposal,
So deep at receiver.
so deep.
AJ Brown, Sammy Watkins,
Darius
uh,
Slay,
the tight Darius Slay, the Zach Ertz, the tight end. Like, bro, they're deep at fucking receivers.
yeah, he's got lots of targets, and that's why I said he looks like the Oklahoma quarterback. Because what did he have there?
Yeah.
Weapons. I mean, it's all
I've
about
been.
building around your quarterback and giving him weapons. And you look at the other side of the ball with Brock Purdy, and I mean, these two have gone head to head in college. Iowa State played OU in the Big 12 championship his final year.
Yeah.
I mean, both of those seniors went against each other, and
Right.
I mean, Brock Purdy and that Iowa State team with Brees Hall and him, they were a top 10 ranked team before that thing just went
Good.
down out of the
Yeah.
ranked contentions, and they lost to Iowa, and it was just ugly. Like I mean, it's just one of those things where it's like, ugh, just gross. But
Yeah.
Purdy has weapons around him, and that's what makes
Mhm.
him so dangerous. Is because again, when you put guys around an above average quarterback, which I believe, even though he was the last pick, Brock Purdy is an above average quarterback. When you look at his
Yeah.
stats at Iowa State, this dude was balling. And the
Yeah.
thing was is the team may have been ass, but he wasn't ass. And I think
He's a
now that
good
he's on
quarterback.
a team with someone like Debo Samuel and Mitchell
Yeah.
and fucking George Kittle, I mean
Yeah.
these are huge names in the
Yeah.
NFL. I mean, it's
And
almost as
McCaffrey.
yeah, it's almost as if you dropped him in Kansas City and switched him and Mahomes, you probably wouldn't see much of a difference between how those teams perform because again, though both those guys have multitude of weapons, they got great tight ends. The only thing that the 49ers have over Kansas City is better running backs. So it's just kind of
Yeah.
like when you
Hey,
have
Mike Sanders is not horrible.
no, nobody's
He's
saying
not
they're terrible.
McCaffrey,
Yeah,
but
that's what I'm
Mike
saying.
Sanders isn't bad.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but it's fucking Christian McCaffrey. Like, I mean, the dude carried the Carolina Panthers for like 3 straight years. No quarterback. Like,
Yeah.
he was their offense. And if he could have played defense, I'm sure he would have. And and the thing is, this is you're not asking Brock Purdy to do a lot because the running backs are so good.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's like I can hand it off to Debo. I can hand it off to CMC, and
Mm.
they're going to make those 7-8 yard plays because again, great offensive line. I
Yeah.
can't state this enough. If you don't have a great offensive line, it doesn't matter how good your quarterback is. Now, granted, you
Right.
can say, well, what about Joe Burrow last year? I mean, that offensive line was like Swiss cheese. He got sacked like 90,000 times, and they still made it to the Super Bowl. Sometimes you can pick up 3rd and 15s all game long. It happens. When you have Jamar Chase out there, you can pick up 3rd and 15. It's not as hard. I mean, it's just, when you have good wide receivers, but now the key for them has been,
They're bored.
and the key for them has been get the ball out under 2 seconds, short routes. Don't don't
Yeah,
allow the offensive line to have to block long. That way, the problems don't seem as glaring, and that's worked fantastic this season. But with Hurts and Purdy, you don't have to worry about that because those offensive lines are sturdy. And the thing about
yeah,
Hurts that kind of worries me is you have um what's the Kelsey, the offensive lineman for Philadelphia. He's got like his quadricep is like separated from the bone bad. Like he was supposed to have surgery but decided to play through it. And he played last game and obviously they were fine because it was the Giants. But it's like is that injury going to flare up this game? Because you're not just
yeah.
taking on a giant. I mean, and granted, like I said, the Giants, their best asset is their defensive line. They've got some dogs up there. But the
Mm,
49ers defense is just a different animal. I mean, can the
right.
49ers lock Jalen Hurts in a box? Can these guys keep him from picking up 8, 9 yards on the ground when none of those receivers are open? Because, like I said, 49ers have great defense, so they're going to cover pretty well. But the thing about it is, if he can hit some of those deep routes, over the top, that's going to be key for Philadelphia. I mean, I think this game's going to be so close, dude. I mean, right now, the line on this game,
What do you?
I'll give it to you right now. It's Eagles -2.5.
Okay.
So they think this is going to be field goal game tight. I don't have a problem with that. But I I got to go with Philly. I just think that
Yeah,
they're going to cover. I think, like you said, I think Purdy. I mean, this time when he throws a pick, it's not going to be dropped. I mean that's
yeah,
I think is going to be the difference. He made a glaring mistake against Dallas and got lucky that Trayvon Diggs wasn't ready because that ball touched him on like 9 parts of his body, and he had both of his
yeah,
hands around it. He just couldn't corral it. I just think that if he had made that mistake last week, I think that game would have gone into overtime, tied at 9, and we might be talking about Dallas playing Philadelphia this week. You never know. I
yeah.
mean, Brett Maher could have kicked a 56-yarder. I mean, it didn't. The offense did not look as good as it had in the past with Brock Purdy against that Dallas defense. So credit Dallas defensively. And Philadelphia doesn't have a fantastic defense, so that's going to be. This game could be a shootout, but I don't know if
Yeah.
Brock Purdy is going to be the difference maker. I think again, you're looking at someone like Christian McCaffrey or Debo Samuel to be the guy that breaks the Eagles' back if it ever comes to it. On the other side, you're looking at Philadelphia, and if Jalen Hurts can find his targets deep, if the passing game is flowing, if Jalen Hurts is escaping the pocket and picking up 8, 9 yards on scrambles, you're gonna have problems all night long. And I think
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts over Brock Purdy. What are your thoughts? Go ahead and
Yeah.
give me
No,
your pick.
I def I definitely agree. I'm gonna definitely go the +2 for Philly for sure.
So you think Philly covers -2.5, or you want
Yeah,
to? Okay, got
my bad. Yeah,
it. Okay,
Philly
yeah,
minus
okay,
2.5.
okay, gotcha. All right. So let's take a look at this next game, Cincinnati and Kansas City. So everybody was looking forward to
Woo!
Bills and Kansas City. That didn't happen. Joey Burrow
Uh,
strikes again on the road. Kansas City only favored at home by 1.5 here. Um, I I don't. This game is I struggle with it. Because on one hand, people are really touting that Joe Burrow's 3-0 against Kansas City, but all those games have been within 10 points. They've been one play games where either Cincinnati scores late to win, or Kansas City turns the ball over late to lose, or Cincinnati is kicking a game winning field goal. That's how those 3 games ended. And again, 2 of those games are in Cincinnati. One of them was in Kansas City, and that was the playoff game last year. So when you look at this, it's hard for me to pick against Patrick Mahomes. I don't
yeah.
I don't like the Chiefs. Their fan base is annoying. Um, I I I mean Chiefs Kingdom, baby. Like, I mean, I just can't do it anymore. And the big part about it is is Kansas City's defense is terrible. I mean, it's not OU bad, but that secondary is sussy. And
Yeah,
their defensive line is good. Their linebackers are mid, but their secondary is bad. So the deeper you
true.
go, the worse it gets, and that concerns me because you have Jamar Chase lining up on the other side of you. If they can't lock him down, they haven't been able to lock him down in the 3 meetings they've played. I think that continues, and now he's got even more targets to throw to, and he's using the tight end a lot, just like
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes uses the tight end a lot. I think right now we are living in a timeline where tight ends are being appreciated the way they should be as receivers and blockers,
Pretty true.
more than we ever have in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Because before it was like, oh, we just have them in there, then we kind of flare them out. I mean, who was the big receiving tight end when we were growing up? It was Tony Gonzalez. It was
Yeah.
it
Tony
was
Gonzalez,
it was, and if it wasn't him, it was Antonio Gates. I mean,
Antonio Gates.
those were kind of the two guys that you really kind of heard about being receiving tight ends, and then you had
Yeah.
Gronkowski come around, and then you had Aaron
Yep.
Hernandez come around. R.I.P. Aaron Hernandez, great guy. No,
Right.
but anyways,
Uh,
but I mean, you had these
that
guys.
documentary was that documentary was pretty lit. I'm not gonna lie.
I mean,
Did
but
you see
like
that?
I've watched bits and pieces. I don't think I've finished the whole thing, but I definitely have watched bits and
You
pieces. I
gotta
need to
check that
finish it.
out. Yes, you need to finish that. That guy was a fucking savage.
Yeah, I heard he was everything you talk. He didn't just walk. He didn't just talk the talk. He walked the walk.
He
And
swung both ways.
yeah, yeah, he did.
He
Um,
liked that.
that's all
Nothing
right,
wrong
and
with
and that, nothing wrong with it. I mean,
it.
sometimes you're good enough for both. I mean, and but as I was saying, like you had those kind of guys come
Yeah.
around, and now I think you have your Travis Kelce's, your George Kittles, your Zach Ertz. I mean you've got these guys, um, and Jason Witten was another guy where every time there
Yeah.
was a third and long, oh, there's Jason Witten open on a curl route. I mean, it's just oh,
Yeah.
oh great. I mean, he was a guy that was also very good. Um, but I just think that now it just feels like they're being targeted more because when you spread the field, what's open? It's
Yeah.
everything inside the hashes. And if you can
Yeah.
have a tight end streaking down the hash, I mean, a linebacker most of the time is not going to be able to keep up with your tight end. That's
Yeah.
just the reality. I mean, those tight ends these days are running 4.5, 4.6 40s. Your linebackers are probably running 4.7 flats. I
Yeah.
mean that's just kind of reality because they're going to be bigger dudes. Those linebackers are going to be bulkier dudes, because they're there to stop the run for the most part. Now, of course, you have a safety over top for help sometimes, but if you've got five wide, you don't really have that safety because he's covering one of those receivers deep. Especially if you're running some deep routes and spreading them out. There's a lot of things you can do. Now they got tight end screens and stuff that they're running. It's just an amazing time to watch professional football because of the appreciation that these tight ends are getting. And you can't really look at a better tight end in this matchup than Travis Kelce. The man is an animal. And no one can guard him, and for some reason he's always the fuck wide open. I've never understood it. I watch these games of Kansas City and I'm like, how is there nobody within 5 yards of Travis Kelce on any given play? Like I could
He's
understand.
he's quick. He's quick and he's a good route runner.
Yeah, but I mean, but like it used to be like I can understand because like you're doubling Tyreek Hill. Like I mean, there
Yeah.
used to be a reason why like oh he's open again. Now it's like you've got him and who else? Like who else does Pat Mahomes throw it to? There's not really someone that Pat Mahomes is really looking for. Um,
Juju.
yeah, Juju Smith-Schuster. Like not that I hate Juju, but let me just give you the numbers real quick because this is kind of
It's not,
interesting. Um,
not great.
uh, receiving wise, on the year, your leading receiver, um, for the season. Let's go regular
Isn't it
season. So for the regular season, receiving wise,
big?
Travis Kelce, 110 receptions on 152 targets for 1,300 yards and 12 touchdowns. Okay, already made that obvious. And the next one is Juju, and he's got like 30 less receptions. He's only got 3 touchdowns on the year. Marquez Valdez Scantling is third. Jerick McKinnon, the running back, is fourth. And then you have Justin Watson and then the backup tight end, Noah Gray. Everybody else on this list is just, Patrick Mahomes has caught a pass himself this season for 6 yards. He's at the bottom of this list. Blake Bell, former OU tight end and ex quarterback, he has a touchdown this season. I mean, there is. I mean, but it's Travis Kelsey and Juju. Like those are the top two guys.
Don't
The
have a lot of kids.
Scantling only has 40 catches. That is literally almost 3 times less than Travis Kelsey, and and
Right.
and and to look for a guy 152 times in a season, like that's your guy. You know what I'm saying? Like that's your top target, and that's why I'm
Mm,
like, and that's why I said that's why I'm stunned. Why is he always wide open? Why is he always wide open? You're really doubling Juju. Juju scares you that much? I mean,
yeah.
and
They'll probably double team Kelsey, low key.
they should. They should. And
Yeah.
I would much rather try to let Juju Smith beat Eli Apple every single play than
Yeah.
allow Travis Kelsey to run free. And I
Yeah.
think that that's been the biggest mistake this season for teams. Um and I think that on the I don't know. I mean, I just this game is so hard for me, man. What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Same here. I'm torn between it because, like you were saying, 3-0. Like he has Kansas City's number. And of course, with that impressive win last week, like in the snow, like I don't think it's gonna be snowing. I don't know what the weather forecast is, but I don't think it's gonna be snowing. So he's gonna have better weather. And then if you just look at his targets, he's got Tyler Boyd. He's got fucking just or not fucking. He has Jamar Chase. He has um what's his name? Also from who's the other receiver they got out there for the Bengals? Why can't I think of his name right
Hopkins,
now? Number Yeah, Watkin or
Joaquin,
who's
Sammy
85?
uh
Why can I not think of his damn name right now?
let me see. So open it. New tab. Open in new tab. All right, here we go. I've got your receivers right here for your Cincinnati Bungles, who like to bungle games away, except for against this team. So regular season wise, um, obviously, you have
Jamar Chase.
obviously you have Jamar Chase Ode here. Um,
Got Tyler Boyd.
T Higgins. Um,
T T Higgins. That's the guy I'm trying to think of.
yeah, T
So
Higgins. Hayden Hurst is the other tight end. And then
yeah, Hurst. He's good.
his fourth most targeted receiver is Joe Mixon. Um,
Yeah, Joe Mixon too. So
yeah, so
man, it's just they just have so many. Their offense, like I think that, like they were saying with the spread, I think this spread is going to be very close because they're going to go back and forth and back and forth. It really just depends who has the ball last because I could see them doing another field goal win like how they had a few years ago, and I just think that so both defenses are okay. Like they're not any. I don't think one's better than the other, but both offenses can score and both offenses will score. So I think this game is going to come down to who has the ball last, who kicked it off first, and who's receiving at halftime. Like that's ultimately who I think is going to win, and I think them playing an Arrowhead has a big advantage because they're just going to be more comfortable. But I think that Kansas City doesn't have enough weapons uh to really take.
really, what were you saying? So what he's saying is um they've got a lot of weapons out there in Cincinnati, and it might be enough, might not be enough.
Yeah,
Um, I mean, I'm picking Kansas City in this one. I hate to say
yeah,
it, but I think it's hard to beat a team 4 straight times.
right.
Give me Kansas City minus the 1.5. Are you feeling the same way on this?
Yes, sir. It's
Okay,
just
so
because they're at home and Patrick Mahomes. I think they're gonna have the ball last. I think they're gonna drive down the field, and I think they'll be down too. And I think it's just they're 2 minutes. Patrick Mahomes. gonna happen. He's gonna find a way. They're gonna win, bro. So give me Kansas City.
I I am also giving Kansas City the -1.5. So
It's gonna be a great game. Great,
yeah,
great,
so
great
so
game.
both of us have Kansas City playing Philadelphia in the Super Bowl. Um, I don't feel bad about that. I would like to see the Eagles win that matchup,
Definitely.
but we'll get into that next week. Let's take a look at the NBA standings here. Um, so we're approaching All Star Weekend. We got just a couple more weeks until the All Star game. Um, so conference wise here, in the East, leading right now is the Boston Celtics, followed by the 76ers, Bucks, Nets, Cavs, and Heat round out your top six. Then you have the Knicks, Hawks, Pacers, and Wizards. Those are all your playoff teams right now, which means right now missing the playoffs in the East are the Bulls, Raptors, Magic, Hornets, and Pistons. Any surprises to you at this point? I remember a month and a half ago, Brooklyn was down in the 11th, 12th spot. They're now back in number 4 with Kyrie Irving playing out of his mind. Um, any takeaways from where the East is right now?
What's going on with the Bulls? Don't they have a bunch of good guys out there? Why are they so low?
Yeah, so they're 11th right now. But them and the Wizards have identical records at 22 and 26. So the Bulls could easily be in that play-in game. Uh,
Okay.
I mean, Zach LaVine hasn't played a lot. Um, I think that's the big thing is Zach LaVine not playing a lot of games. He'll probably play more games in the second half if they want to push for the playoffs. They're on a 2-game losing streak and are 5-5 in their last 10 games. Um, but the Pacers in their last 10 games are 1-9, and they're still at the 9 spot right now. But they were up at the upper echelon 10 games ago. So they have dropped after being 23 and 18. They are now 24 and 27. So they have kind of been on a little bit of a skid. But at the top, I mean, you have Philadelphia on a 6-game winning streak. The Bucks are on a 3-game winning streak. I mean, these are the teams that we thought were going to be kind of the
Yeah.
lookers. I know you had Boston and the Warriors going at it again in the
Mm,
finals this season. Both of those picks look pretty decent. Um, I know I have the Nets and the Nuggets, so that pick is still alive. But I mean, right now the Nets are fourth, so I mean they're making the playoffs. I'm not worried about the Nets not
yeah.
making the playoffs. A couple months ago, we're like, oh, we're 15 games in, and the Nets are looking really bad. But we kind of knew.
Yeah.
We kind of knew as the season progressed. The chips are going to fall where they're probably supposed to, and so far, I think it has in the East.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I agree for sure, and especially with those names at the top, like you're saying, Celtics. I'm surprised Philly made a push. I mean, they've obviously got all the players and they've been playing good, but of course they're with Milwaukee as well. So yeah, that's pretty much what we are expecting for the East for sure.
Yeah, those top four teams, not surprising. Celtics, 76ers, Bucks, and Nets. That sounds like the
Yeah,
best teams in the East to me. And just
yeah.
looking on the outside, the Cavs are the biggest surprise to me. I mean,
What are the
right,
words?
they're fifth right now in the East. I
Okay.
mean, they're balling. I mean, the Thunder beat them tonight, but they're balling. And
Who do they have?
Donovan Mitchell. Donovan Mitchell left the Jazz
Right,
to go
right,
play
right.
for the Cavaliers, and they have
That's it though.
no, they have Garland on there, which is like a new young guy. He's like a pass first kind of guard. Um, I'll go through their roster real quick. It's kind of
I need to hear this because
it's
I'm
kind of a
surprised they're fifth
it's kind
ranked.
of a makeshift here. So they've got the Fro Jarrett Allen from Brooklyn, the big Fro guy. They got him. They've got Darius Garland, like I said, who's their point guard. They've got Chris. They've got Karis LeVert, Robin Lopez. Robin Lopez. Um,
Yeah.
they've got Kevin Love still, but he's been hurt. Um, Isaiah
How are these
Mobley.
guys fifth in the
I
East?
mean, they got Ricky Rubio on there.
That's a
Uh,
player.
uh, Seti Osman, Dean Wade, Isaiah and Evan Mobley. Um,
They must have really good chemistry
I
with all
mean,
those
I
guys.
mean the big getters right now as far as pay. Salary for Jarrett Allen is 20 million. Um, salary for Darius Garland 8.9 mil. Karis LeVert, 18 mil. Um, and
Levert's good.
Kevin Love, 28 mil. Donovan Mitchell, 30
I didn't
mil.
even know Kevin Love was still playing.
Right? That's what I mean. Today, someone was talking about on the radio and said, "How many people in their cars are probably listening, going, Kevin Love still in the league? Still in the league? Kevin Love?" I
I
mean,
thought he
like, I
retired
mean,
like 3 years
yeah,
ago.
so that, so the Cavs right now with their, this is literally a roster where I don't, the schools these guys went to: Virginia, Vanderbilt, Michigan, Stanford, UCLA, Louisville, two USC guys, Auburn, Penn State, Kansas State, and Belmont. This is not like none of these guys were drafted in the except for Darius Garland and Donovan Mitchell in like the first round, right? There's no way.
Yeah.
This is just a, and as I said, the chemistry is good, and they're playing good basketball right now. Hence being the fifth best team in the East. But that's the biggest surprise to me right now.
Crazy as fuck.
We'll see if they can keep it up after the All Star break. In the West, we have the Nuggets leading the West, followed by the Grizzlies, the Kings, Pelicans, Clippers, and Mavs. Round out your top six.
Nice.
The
Nice.
Warriors, Timberwolves, Suns, and Jazz are your last four in right now. You would have Phoenix and Utah going at it in a play-in game for the rights to play the Minnesota Timberwolves. The Thunder are on the cusp at 11, followed by the Blazers, the Lakers, the Spurs, and the Rockets. So the Lakers still not in the playoff picture right now. Um,
What's going on in LA?
just bad basketball. They've lost a lot of their games,
Has
but
LeBron been out?
no, he's been dropping 40 a night. Um, it's
Don't
it.
they have Russell
Yep,
fucking
and Dennis
what's going
Schroeder.
on in
Yeah, yeah. They just got AD back.
Anthony Davis?
Anthony Davis has been hurt. But he just
How are
can't.
they so far down? That does not make any sense to me.
In fairness, they're only 2 games out of the playoffs right now.
Yeah.
It's a very tight race at the bottom because you have
Yeah.
20. So Phoenix, the Jazz have 25 wins, along with Golden State having 25, and Minnesota has 26. Um, Oklahoma City
Okay.
has 24, and the Lakers and the Blazers both have 23. So you're really looking at like a 3 game shift between 13th place and 7th. So
Yeah.
the Lakers could
Yeah.
easily win 4 games in a row and
Right.
be in the playoffs. And this is halfway through the season. So I'm not worried about them right now, but it should be better. You're right. It should be better. With the team they've got:
Right.
Dennis Schroeder, Russell Westbrook, LeBron,
Anthony
AD.
Davis.
You've got players on this team that are they just it just comes down to this. The Lakers, they get down in the first quarter, they get a little bit more down in the second, they come back in the third, they come back even stronger in the fourth. In the last 3 or 4 minutes, it's just abysmal basketball. Turnovers, not making shots, LeBron going 1 of 7 from three or some shit. It's just they have not been able to finish games. They've lost 7 out of their last 10 games um,
Damn.
by less than 5 points. It's one of those where you had that one game against the Hornets where LeBron is driving to the bucket to tie the game, loses his shoe, and has to kick it out to Schroeder on the baseline for three, and Schroeder bricks it, game over. You just had these weird things happening with the Lakers, which brings me to this idea that this is, if professional sports is scripted, which we know it's not. But if this were, if it were, what happens in the second half of the season is the Lakers come roaring back, they make the playoffs, and they're a threat to get to the second or even the conference finals. That's what we're looking at right now. Is maybe they're making us think that, oh, we're really that bad, but I really don't think they are. I just think this is lack of team chemistry. You've had some fighting on the bench and between players. Dennis Schroeder and Russell Westbrook got into it last game. I mean, this is a team that's not mentally strong right now. LeBron is playing the best basketball any 38-year-old has ever played in the history of basketball. He's officially now scored 40 points against every team in the NBA at least once, as of 2 games ago, as they got that win over the Blazers. He had 46 or something, and that was the last team he hadn't scored 40 against yet, and got that done. He's amazing. He's the second best player of all time. I think that I
I
think
like
that
how you say that.
I think that he
Second
is.
best.
You can't beat MJ. I'm sorry. It's
Yeah, no,
just
you can't.
and
You
and
can't be.
and granted, that's not me talking about physical assets or necessarily even skill set. That's just because he's so iconic even just the aura
No,
around him. I mean, like
yeah,
LeBron is cool. Like
we're
LeBron's a badass,
we're
but
mhm,
LeBron didn't revolutionize basketball. LeBron,
yeah,
the jump man, the spreading the legs from the free throw line. There's no moments like that for LeBron because LeBron won't even do the dunk contest. Like, dude, come on, man.
yeah.
Like, I'll dunk in the games. F your games, your team's trash. I mean, at least playing like trash right now. I mean, but it's like, and that won't last very long, I don't think. But yeah, the Lakers sitting there in 13th. Um, kind of shocking. Right now, the Kings are the biggest surprise to me. 27-20. They lost their last game, but they're 7-3 in their last 10 games. Um, LeBron and company are 5-5 in their last 10, so not as bad as I was saying, but still not great. Um, the Kings have Domantas Sabonis. They've got Fox. I mean, that team is
Buddy,
pretty
buddy.
good. Yeah, yeah. He's got. I mean, um, they're looking okay. I like the Kings. I don't think they'll finish the year third in the West. I think they'll probably finish within maybe the 6-7 range because Golden State's coming. They're getting healthier. They're sitting there at 7.
Yeah,
They'll probably move up to that 4 or 5 range. Um, Memphis is still looking strong. They hold that second spot. John Morant's incredible. That team will give some people some problems in the playoffs. It's just Jokic is playing so well. The Nuggets are playing so well. It's hard to pick against the Nuggets to come out of the West this season, and I'm proud to say I picked them to come out of the West. But I'm not saying the Warriors couldn't get them in 7 games. I think that if it comes down to the Warriors playing the Nuggets in the Western Conference Finals, I think that's going to be a great finals matchup. Um,
yeah.
what are your takeaways from the way the West is shaking out right now?
Pretty much what I expected at the top, but I mean, Thunder, we need to sit Shy out because if he's playing, we're gonna have a chance to win. Especially if he's such a good player, but we really still need to rebuild. So I don't want to even be in that discussion of the play-in game at all. So we need to lose, 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 lose. I don't care if we lose every rest of the game. Like I know that we're rebuilding, and I'm fine with that. I just am mad whenever I see Thunder win, and I'm like, now we're in the playoff picture, and I'm like, fuck. Like we need fucking picks. We need uh
Now,
to be
here's
at the bottom.
yeah.
So
Let me just give you a little bit of insight here. So, right now the Thunder are in 11th, right? If
yeah,
they were to play in the play-in game and finish 10th and lose, like I say, they lose the play-in game and they finish 10th, right? Um,
yeah.
they would have a 1.5% chance to get the first pick in the lottery, right?
Ooh,
Now, if they were to finish 13th, which is where the Lakers are right now, which is 2 spots away from the bottom in the West, you're looking
yeah.
at a 2.5% chance to get the first pick. Because right now, the first pick, you're looking at Houston, San Antonio, Detroit, and Charlotte as the 4 teams that have the best shot at getting the number 1 pick right now. The Rockets are on pace to only win 22 games this season. The Spurs are on pace to only win 28. The Pistons are only on pace to win 26, and Charlotte's only on pace to win 28. I mean, those are really bad teams. Right now, the Thunder are on
Yeah.
pace to win 50.
Ugh.
Yeah, I mean that's if they live. I mean, they would win 48 games if they were to double. Right now, though, they've already played what is that? Not 49 games, so there's only 23 games left. So, I guess if you go 23 games and go by their winning percentage, which is winning about half, they're 24-25. Um,
Yeah.
looking at like 11 games to probably 13 losses. So, looking at 35 wins uh, and 38 losses, 35 and 38. I mean, that's going to be nowhere near um, where the Rockets are going to be at, which is like 21 and 50, like 58. I mean, so I don't mind them going to the playing game. I don't even mind them winning the playing game and maybe getting bounced in 4 games against the Nuggets. I don't care. I don't care. Um, because I think that you kind of need that playoff experience because next year is going to be a year we're going to be pushing for the playoffs with Chet being back, with still getting a decent draft pick. You're still going to have a top 10 pick. I mean that's guaranteed. It might not be Victor Wembanyama, but you're going to
Mhm.
get somebody that's very serviceable in this year's draft to build that team even more. So the Thunder looking like a promising team as far as next year is concerned. But right now, like you said, um, I mean, whether they make the play-in game or not, you're not looking at a huge percentage change in them getting the number one pick. So I don't know if I really care if they get in the play-in game or they don't, because
Right.
I think I would much rather have them in a play-in game where I'm watching it, caring a little bit more than being like, oh well, we got another 1% chance. Now we only have a 2.5 instead of 1.5 or 0.5% chance. We have 2.5% chance. I mean, what is that? That's a 98% chance to go. I mean, it's just it's not great odds. So it's like I don't know if I care enough at this point.
Yeah.
So that's
I
just kind of
just
yeah. Go ahead.
I never would wish an injury on anybody. I just need him to sit out the rest of the year. I don't care what excuse you have, but like I was saying earlier, if he's in the game, man, we have a chance to win because he's dropping like fucking 40 points every damn
Yeah, Shea
game.
is good and deservedly an all star. Deservedly an all
I'm
star.
glad we have him because I remember, didn't we draft him or what happened there?
I think we got him in like a draft trade with another team, maybe.
Yeah, because I
I'm not.
remember it was just last year, and I just heard about him. I didn't know how what type of player he was, but man, I'm glad we got that guy. He's like turning into an NBA superstar, like right in between our eyes.
Yeah, he's one of those guys like James Harden, where like you took him at like 23, and you were like,
Yeah,
hopefully this guy is good, and then he turns into being an all star. I mean, you're like, oh great.
yeah,
Same with like Russell Westbrook, like oh this guy might be a little good, ends up concretely crushing the triple double record. I mean, it's just
yeah,
no one thought that when they got drafted. No one was like, oh this is it. The only thing that people thought was for sure thing was Kevin Durant's gonna ball out. That I mean, no one was like Kevin Durant's not the number two pick. Like, can you imagine if Seattle would have drafted Greg Oden instead? What a different story Oklahoma City would have been.
yeah.
I mean, it's just not that I don't like the Blazers. I mean, maybe we'd have Damian Lillard. I don't know. I mean, I just think that you know this team would be in a vastly different position without Kevin Durant being involved in its early infancy and being able to build around him. Um, but yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. So let's get into locks of the week real quick. So last week, um, you did Kansas City, I did the 49ers. You did the 49ers as well, and I did the Bills. And then we picked one NBA game. You had Denver over the Pacers by 9. They won that game over the Pacers by 23, so you covered that game. So we both went 2-1. I picked the Mavs. They were 2-point underdogs against the Heat and then beat them by 25. So I think I did
Nice,
pretty good there. Um,
very nice.
so we did pretty good on our first NBA picks. So let's go ahead and so right now I have Philadelphia and Kansas City as your two locks. Same with me. So this is going to be where things differ because either we're both going to be right or we're both going to be wrong here. So we're going to go back to the NBA here, and we're going to go with games uh, that are going on. Tomorrow. We go tomorrow. Oh, scroll down. Where? Oh, it is since it's already like the next day. This is um this is Saturday's games. So here are the games. I'll give them to you, and you can tell me which one you're interested in. I've got
Cool.
Knicks Nets. I've got Phoenix and San Antonio. I've got the Kings playing the Timberwolves. I've got the Lakers playing the Celtics. I've got the Mavs playing the Jazz. I've got Raptors, Trailblazers, Clippers, Hawks, and Wizards, Pelicans.
Am I wrong if I take Celtics Lakers?
No, no. So Boston's a
That's just
seven. Boston is a 7 point favorite, and the over under for the total is 237. They think each of these teams is going to score like 116, 117 apiece.
yeah. I got the Celtics for sure,
You
and
want to
then
you want
I'll
you,
take the
you want the -7 or do you want the total?
yeah. Give me the -7.
Okay, Celtics -7. Gotcha. Celtics.
Tatum's going for 40. Al Horford's going for like at least 15. Yeah, it's gonna be a Celtics W.
Okay, I like that pick. I don't have a problem with that. Um, I'm gonna go with. Oh boy. Um, give me. Give me the Mavericks again plus the 7.5 against the Jazz. They're 7-point dogs against the
I was
Jazz.
thinking about that one. I
Um,
was thinking about that one.
yeah, I mean, I just think Luka's playing out of his mind. Um,
Yeah.
we'll see if that comes to fruition. I mean, 7.5 is a lot to give up. Um, but I think that's. I mean, you're gonna unless he's not playing, which I haven't heard anything. I think the Mavericks can have that. I mean, you look at the standings right now. The Jazz are the 10th team, and the Mavs are the 6th team. So, I mean, this is
Yeah.
going to be a good matchup. These are both really above average teams, so I like those picks. Um, anything we didn't really go over, you wanted to touch on that we haven't really talked about?
Um, Covered NFL, prayer portal, NBA. Think we got yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Big 12 schedule should be released here in about 3 days.
Okay.
Um, we don't
Can
know
we
if
get that on
OU
the next?
we don't know if OU or Texas is going to be on it yet.
Okay.
That's the big question. They could just say because right now negotiations are going on right now, and the thing is it going to be we bought out OU and Texas's contract? They're going to go play in the SEC this season, or are they going to say they're going to play the Big 12 schedule this year and next year, and then will be on to the SEC like planned? That's kind of where we're at right now. Usually
Mhm.
the schedule would have been released like a week and a half ago, so they are kind of taking their time here, which makes me think and a lot of talk in local sports media has been there's probably a 98% chance that OU and Texas are probably going to get bought out and go and play the SEC schedule next season, and we will have teams like Houston
Exciting
and BYU in the Big 12, and yeah, me and you're gonna have to go to some games
for sure.
this season because it could be crazy. But we'll see what happens. Like I said, they
Sure.
said by February they'll have the schedule out, so that's kind of the only other thing to really touch on is college
Cool.
football wise is scheduled to be released, and we'll go over what we think these teams will look like by the end of the season. We'll have our schedule predictions out way early. We'll let you know how we think Oklahoma and Oklahoma State and all these other teams are going to finish.
Cool.
And yeah, I mean that's kind of where we're gonna leave it. I think we kind of wrapped up everything. Everything's kind of winding down. So,
For sure.
you guys enjoy conference championship weekend for Stoner Sports Podcast. I am Will Warner, Will Murphy. Any last words?
No, sir.
All right, keep stick on the ice.
Stick on the ice, sir.